Hi, I'm Jane King, and this is New to the Street in person back here at the NASDAQ market site in New York City. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies, how the CEOs, the founders, and the innovators bringing you lots of opportunities to consider. Here we go.
Lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis can be difficult to treat and debilitating for an animal's health and well-being. Take control of lameness issues and joint pain. Introducing Spring with OsteoCushion technology. With just one injection, Spring with OsteoCushion technology targets the root cause of lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis, helping animals do what they do best.
PetVivo has an innovative tool in the management of osteoarthritis for animals. With me, CEO John Lai, to bring us up to date on all this. Great to have you back here.
Great to be back.
So you just were at the American College of Veterinary Surgeons, correct?
Yes, in Louisville.
Okay.
It was a very good conference for us because the Ethos presented their second cohort of the study on cruise ship injuries. Now, cruise ship injuries generally mean that the dog's going to need surgery. So the study established that this is a very alternative and very feasible therapy for preventing the surgery. So the results show that literally every dog improved beyond the threshold that they were trying to target, which is very unusual to have that type of percentage. So we feel this is a great alternative and lowers the cost of health care for the consumer, for the pet owner, as well as not creating a tremendous strain on the dog. Because after surgery, the dog will need to go through a series of rehab, and it also means they get kettled for maybe up to 90 days.
Okay.
So if we can avoid all that, but on top of that, we've also, a lot of vets have used our product to stabilize the joint after surgery for much faster rehab. That's why we talk about the rehab aspect of the market. So the study was very powerful from that standpoint, and it helps reestablish one of the theses that I've been pushing is that this product should be a first-use product, as indicated by other professors and experts in the area, because this is a naturally derived product.
Yeah.
It has minimal or zero side effects, and we have shown in the real-world market that after the injection within 30 days, dogs are coming off of pharmaceuticals. You know, we have had dogs that are taking 6 different meds within the 30 days, they take 0. And as you know, pharmaceuticals have multiple side effects, like NSAIDs will cause gastrointestinal tract bleeding, stomach ulcers, liver and kidney failure, prolonged use, and we're covered under pet insurance. That's one of the
That's a big thing too. So
yeah.
Will you be doing any clinical study results at those upcoming conferences?
Yeah, you know, because they're independent, we really don't control them, but we feel a couple more will be completed by then, you know, maybe on elbows and hips. So I know we got one going on shoulders that's moving along quite a bit, and the cat one should get published any day.
We're waiting on that cat one.
I know,
So,
I know. It's interesting because the names of the cat clinics are really cute, or they're really nice. Like the one in Minneapolis is called Mini Paw.
Okay.
P-A-U.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it going,
Got it.
I love that name.
Yeah, that's cute. Well, congratulations on the success so far. I'm sure the dogs love having the freedom that they hadn't had before. So thank you so much, John. For the
Okay,
update.
thank you, Jane.
Research efforts to discover new antibiotics have stalled. New antibiotics were discovered and developed at a breathtaking pace. But enter Acurx Pharmaceuticals. They are a biopharmaceutical company focused on developing new antibiotics for difficult-to-treat infections such as MRSA, VRE, and DRSP. We face new threats every day, big and small. Acurx Pharma is on the front lines of health using technology to help us treat tomorrow's infections today. Acurx Pharmaceuticals.
Acurx Pharmaceuticals is a publicly held clinical stage biotechnology company developing a new class of antibiotics for infections caused by bacteria listed as priority pathogens by the World Health Organization and others. With me is CEO David Luci. What a day that the stock had this week.
Indeed.
Tell me about that and what was the news behind that increase?
Well, last week it was indeed a great day, our biggest day of volume since our IPO in June 21. Excuse me. I think investors who saw our news last week that we had early terminated our phase 2B clinical trial due to success are finally appreciating, after a few trading sessions, the significance of that, because we expect to show data with clear separation from the standard of care treating C. difficile infection. Clear separation for efficacy, safety, the microbiome advantage, and all of that data by the end of the year will come out publicly in a press release, series of releases, 2 releases starting with top-line data by the end of the month.
Oh, interesting. The stock was up 73%, so it's
Yes.
a huge gain. And we've talked before about how there's really the treatments that are being used for this are like, decades old. So this is the first new thing on the market in a while, or will be.
Exactly right. In the standard of care oral vancomycin, it was first approved in 1958 for a different bacterial infection. It's broad spectrum. In '86, they got it approved to treat C. diff, even though it's broad spectrum and would therefore decimate the microbiome, in my view. They didn't have much antibiotics to use to treat C. diff, so they figured if a patient has a life-threatening infection and has to deal with side effects, that's better than having nothing at all.
Yeah. So when might this be available? Like best case scenario?
Best case scenario, if our trial design for phase 3 international trials, over 100 sites, high enrolling sites in Eastern Europe, Canada, and South America, if all of that's agreeable with the FDA, we could be on the market by the end of 2026.
Okay. Very interesting, a huge milestone for the
Yes,
company.
indeed.
Congratulations, David.
Thank you, Jane.
Thanks.
So we've been through good times and bad times at Acurx, but I bet that our science always pulls us through.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Specific applications in space biosciences will benefit all humankind indefinitely, while also leading to new discoveries and applications in precision and personalized medicine. With me is the CEO of Vector Biosciences.
Vector Space Biosciences.
Vector Space Biosciences, Kasian Frank. So great to have you here. What a fascinating company and industry. I guess just what is space biosciences? Explain that.
Well, thanks for having me here. I would like to explain, first off, that we're probably not going to establish, with 100% certainty, we're not establishing a lunar base, we're not going to Mars if we don't understand how to protect and repair the human body during spaceflight. And that's what we work toward. We work on countermeasures, understanding countermeasures like maybe drug repurposing or drug development, drug design, but also understanding the stressors like radiation and microgravity that can impact human health during spaceflight. So if we understand how to create these countermeasures, maybe repurpose drugs as mentioned, and then apply those to maybe areas of precision medicine, it's not just about benefiting, astronauts or billionaires in space, but developing new therapies in precision medicine for everybody on the ground.
Yeah. So explain the process and how you use AI to, I guess, synthesize this data that you get. Like, how does that work exactly?
Sure. So it's important to understand the divisions within our company that make this happen. We've got a biosciences division. We've also got a hardware and CubeSat division, where the CubeSats are designed and launched. And then we've got an AI and language modeling division. So it starts with designing the experiments and working with the biotechs or pharmas or even materials companies to better understand how maybe a material might change under microgravity. But our particular focus is biosciences, so when we establish an experiment, design an experiment, and then launch the experiment via a biological CubeSat, data is beamed back to Microsoft's Azure Space platform, where there's a ground station that we collect the data, and then we can augment that data or add additional data, and then apply a language model or a series of language models on top of that data. And then the real magic happens, where you've got data interpretation, new insights, and maybe even novel discoveries that can occur once we visualize that data and help scientists interpret the data.
And any plans for any other types of listings outside of tokens?
Well, we are considering NASDAQ, I can tell you. So, well, that's in our future.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Well, very exciting, and it's exciting to think about the possibilities of what could happen with this research that you're doing.
Oh, yeah, it's endless.
Thanks, Kasian, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Research efforts to discover new antibiotics have stalled. New antibiotics were discovered and developed at a breathtaking pace. Enter Acurx Pharmaceuticals. They are a biopharmaceutical company focused on developing new antibiotics for difficult-to-treat infections such as MRSA, VRE, and DRSP. We face new threats every day, big and small. Acurx Pharma is on the front lines of health using technology to help us treat tomorrow's infections today. Acurx Pharmaceuticals.
Aspira Women's Health is dedicated to transforming women's gynecological health, starting with ovarian cancer. And with me is Nicole, Sandford, the CEO of Aspira Women's Health, and Dr. Tamika, the founder and owner of Advanced Women's Care Center in Georgia. So great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
So now let's start with Nicole. Tell us about Aspira Women's Health. I know you've been here, but give us an overview and an update.
Sure. Well, Aspira is the only publicly traded company that is exclusively focused on developing new innovative technologies for the diagnosis of gynecologic disease, which is an area of medicine that's been historically underinvested in. We're not a new company. We've been around. Our technology has been tried and tested and clinically studied for quite a while. So we're the only company that can say that, actually. So we're very excited to keep paving the way for gynecologic disease diagnostics.
So Dr. C, tell me about the Ova Watch. How do you use that?
Yes, so Ova Watch is a little bit different than the Ova One Plus and Overa, which is more so for the surgical management for pelvic masses. Ova Watch is truly for that patient where we're doing what we call a watch and wait. They have a pelvic lesion that's been detected. It does not look overtly suspicious and need for surgical management. So these are for patients that we look at whether or not they have any clinical significance for any malignancy that's ruled out. And these are patients that we just kind of watch and wait. These are patients that may potentially are unable to get surgery performed at a specific time. These are patients that may not be good surgical candidates. They have some other, medical comorbidities that prevent them from undergoing surgery at that time. I mean, we live in a very high-paced society. Work is a part of some of the reasons as to why patients choose not to undergo surgery immediately, because of the need for time off and need for coordination with their staff and things like that. So having Ova Watch as a clinical tool for the initial clinical assessment, but also to watch and to see the progression of the ovarian lesion and whether or not it'll eventually turn into something that needs surgical intervention in the future.
Do you have any patients that you can share their examples with us?
Absolutely. I had a patient just last month that had a history of having a hysterectomy with an oophorectomy of the left ovary, and came in with a new pelvic mass that was on her only right ovary that she had left. And this is a young patient of mine that's less than 40, so not in that clinical age for menopause. So undergoing surgical menopause in a case like this patient would be very difficult and concerning as far as those other medical issues and ailments that we discussed earlier. So I performed Ova Watch to determine whether or not this was something that was clinically significant. She did not show evidence of need for immediate surgical intervention, but it was something that I desired to kind of watch and wait and see whether or not it, had any suspicious aspects of it that would eventually, allow for us to potentially need to have a surgical intervention in the future. However, this was a perfect test for this patient because she truly doesn't want to be menopausal, and as her physician at 37 years old, I truly don't want to make her menopausal. So this was a very important clinical tool to use in her care.
And just
Yes.
finally, Dr. C, what should a woman do, or what should she talk to her doctor about if she does have a pelvic mass?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, patient coming in complaining of pelvic pain, diagnosing the pelvic mass in general will be the first step. So asking for the ultrasound, asking for the radiologic screening to determine why that pelvic pain is there, and if the pelvic mass is identified, then asking more specific questions, telling the physician about their family history and what concerns that they may have, discussing whether or not they want to, undergo surgical approach, or whether or not they desire to have more of a observation or surveillance. All of these things are very important to discuss with your physician early on, so that the two, the patient and the physician can come up with a clinical solution that's best for the patient.
Yeah, okay, great advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Nicole. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you.
Caselli is a dean of SDA Bocconi School of Management and is a professor of banking and finance at Bocconi University in Milan, Italy. And also Jean Maria, founder and CEO of U Capital, a fintech group of companies, also Italian. And welcome, great to have you here.
Thank you.
So, Stefano, let's start with you. There's an international business conference in New York. Explain your role there and what will be discussed at this conference.
It is a great moment tomorrow because the concept, let me say, is to discuss about the bridge. We need to bridge more and more European economy towards the US system, and also the contrary. I believe that in this bridge there are a lot of opportunities, as we live in a world where to sustain and to enhance the growth of GDP is the mantra, let me say, on the two sides of the ocean. For US, in a certain sense, it is the destiny of US to grow. On the other way around, in Europe, is fundamental to consolidate this issue of growth, not only because we are exiting from the pandemic and we are obviously navigating into, let me say, a complex system, but also because the GDP is really the way to generate more wealth, more innovation, more employment, so it's key aspects. In Europe, we have an extraordinary potential because we have, let me say, tons of small and medium enterprises. In most of cases, family-owned. They have an incredible potential. They have very, very good figures, but they need, obviously, to look for opportunities related to investors, but not only to investors, to markets, to multiply the potential they have. So this is the sense of bridge. We have to work for a bridge because at the end of the day, in every part of the world, we have two different players. On the one end, we have investors looking for upside, looking for internal rate of return because it's crucial for pension funds, for insurance companies. And in a certain sense, these investors have to satisfy their appetite. On the other hand, we have a lot of potential in small and medium enterprises, new projects, new ideas, and it's fundamental to create this bridge. In Europe, we need to have in mind that in the last 2 years, the European Commission launched this recovery and resilience facility. It's an incredible way to sustain investment. To attract investors for renewable energy is an incredible lab, Europe, for renewable energy. To discuss about innovation, to discuss about new infrastructure, so it's an incredible playground. The real challenge for Europe now is to unlock the value we have. And the value we have is related to the potential of many companies. They are, let me say, small and medium champions that are basically operating in every country of the world, but what is missing is the size. If we want to create a more GDP, we need to bet and to put more energy in having a bigger size of European companies. If we mention the ranking of Fortune 500, just to have in mind the list of top 500 in the world, Europe has only 19 companies, and United States have more than 100. It's interesting that in both cases, the number of top 500 is decreasing because it is increasing the number of Chinese companies. Obviously, we have to discuss about the performance, but just simply the ranking. And the destiny of Europe, it's really related to the capability of Europe to increase this number. 90 companies are great, but we need to have more companies in the list of top 500. And we have the possibility, but we need a capital. We need more attention. We need, as I said before, to create the right bridge between United States and the European playground to generate more IRR for investors and more size for top companies in Europe.
Well, thank you so much, Stefano, for explaining that. It's very interesting, and thank you as well, Jean-Marie, for coming in. Thank you.
Lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis can be difficult to treat and debilitating for an animal's health and well-being. Take control of lameness issues and joint pain. Introducing Spring with OsteoCushion technology. With just one injection, Spring with OsteoCushion technology targets the root cause of lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis, helping animals do what they do best.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Secure Privacy and Security segment. I'm Anna Berry, along with the CEO of Secure, Alain Guillay. All right, our weekly hack topic. You've probably seen it in the news all over the place. The SEC is punishing banks with some pretty hefty fines out there from using a very common messaging app, WhatsApp. So Alain, our topic today is what's going on, and do you have a solution that can help these financial institutions comply to these regulations so they can safely send messages?
Yes, we do. And what's going on is that the financial regulation, the FINRA and other authorities has specific guidelines for communication when you are a banker, an investment banker, private banker communicating with a client. There's a few things that need to happen. First of all, the conversation needs to be archived for future audits. It also needs to be over an encrypted and highly secure environment. And obviously, WhatsApp is not an environment conducive to that, according to FINRA, at least. And it's very hard not to use it because you have customers, clients all over that use these applications, whether it's WhatsApp or another, or even text message. And those are not applications that comply because archiving, security, and so forth. The banks have been fined $2.5 billion so far in the last couple of years. And then essentially this talks about the SEC having a probe on a lot of institutions, private equity, market makers, banks, etc. And this is making more and more noise. And I think it talks about in the future, each occurrence could be fined $50 million. $50
million. That's unbelievable. So you're all about providing solutions so we can safely communicate. What solution do you have for this?
So our secure messenger, which acts as a messaging application, has the archiving method. It's stored without data mining, doesn't require a phone number, so you eliminate a lot of these hacking intrusion, doesn't social engineer your address books and so forth. And essentially with our new enterprise version launching in November, it can literally create a closed network where even if you have secure, the person can't communicate with the outside world. That's an extra feature that the other systems don't have. And of course, we have a very high encryption, but the most important is that archiving feature, because we have a self-destruct timer locally on our device. But then if you have a business account or enterprise account, you'll be able to archive at the administrative level and at the same time, wiping out the entire data from the customer and the user. Now, The customer, is the bank client, doesn't have Secure. And how we do it is we have chat by invite. So we can invite an outsider by email or text messaging to chat with you. And that's what's really neat, because then the other person doesn't need to download anything, register for anything, and it opens a browser and you can chat with your banker or what have you. In this case, it's the banking industry, but it could be applicable to legal, medical, and other industries. We have this chat by invite with SMS with 83 countries. We have it in the US as well. We're polishing up a few things. We want to have 100% delivery with all of the service providers in the US, but this is a great way. And on top of that, I would recommend using a VPN solution like ours, which will render your true identity more private so that you're less prone, even when you're using those applications. At the very least, you're not going to be found that easily because you're going to be in our Swiss IP addresses and we never data mine you. The Messenger is a big product for businesses, and we're doing a big launch in November for enterprise. And this is right in time for these financial companies looking for a solution outside of these open platforms that are out there, all of them, not just WhatsApp.
Perfect timing for these solutions you're providing. It's really about how much is your privacy worth. So I know you do have a promo code for our viewers today, don't you?
We do. And actually, this system I just told you about, which will guarantee privacy for the sender and the recipient, is only $7 a month. So imagine, I mean, banks can afford $7 a month for a client. I mean, I would hope so. So our privacy, our promo code is privacy, aptly named, and it gives you a 15% discount over the next 5 years for any of our solution, whether it's consumer, business, or even the enterprise product launching in November. I highly encourage everybody to go to secure.com, put your promo code, and you get 15% off any of our solution.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for another weekly hack today.
Thanks everybody for watching us, and please be careful out there in the internet.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching.